Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's almost New Year's Eve. Happy holidays. We're going to have a great 2025. I started the email list at Eager Expat at yahoo.com. If you want to shoot me a message and tell me to add you to the list of possible meetups we're going to have at least once a month, maybe twice. We'll see. I travel a lot. But if you're going to possibly miss the community notice, consider being a part of that email list. Take it easy, and there'll be plenty more videos to come. I am walking down my street in the Prampong area here, Sukhumvit, Soi 26. I wanted to talk about a mess up. I make plenty of them, but this is what happened with my TM30. If you're not familiar, if you're on a long-term visa, I'm on a non-O for retirement, you have to check in every 90 days. I don't want to get into the can you believe you know I've lived here 12 years and I have to check in every 90 days? Yes, if you're not Thai, you got to play by the rules. So if that's a problem, don't complain about it. Go back to where you don't have to check in if that's a major issue. To me, it's not a problem. I messed up. I'll explain what happened. Now, the TM30, you can do it online. You're supposed to do the first one in person. In my case, I live in Bangkok, so it's Chiang Wat Na. You go in, it's a TM47. You have to have a copy of your lease, a copy of the different stamps, your visa, your last entry into Thailand. I mean, copies are cheap, $3 a piece, whatever it is. I just make a copy of every page of my passport and let the immigration officer throw away what they don't want. Now, I'll warn you, I did this twice in person, and both times, the 90-day reporting anyhow, 90 times they've kept the copy of my lease. So make plenty of copies. Do not hand them your original and get upset that they did whatever they do with it, probably toss it away. But just plan on losing that copy. Now myself, I did not do my first 90-day in person. The airport also counts when you arrive from another country. So how do I put it? Let's say you are due for a 90-day. It's February 1st. So that day or the day before, you head to Japan for a week, you come back. When you arrive at the airport, you get a fresh 90 days. Now, I did that often. I still do it often. So I did 2 online check-ins and 1 in person. Maybe I did 2 in person, but the other check-ins were all done through the airport. Now, the rules change. I did a video on the 90-day procedure about a year ago, and I got all kinds of comments. You don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of the main issue here in Thailand, or kind of the know-it-all guys. Some of these people, they're not even in Thailand. Maybe they lived here 5 years ago and they're still watching videos on Thailand, thinking about coming back, and they're first to jump on you about if it's opening a bank account or visa situations, where these things are so fluid. They change often and they change fast. Now, what I had mentioned in that video a year ago was heading to a hotel in Thailand. They do a TM30, and that caused me a problem. It caused one of my friends a problem. In other words, you have a TM30 for 365 days at your condo. The owner or property manager turns that in. When you head off to the Holiday Inn in Pattaya or whatever it is, they do a TM30. Now, people will say you can get around that by not handing them your passport, handing them your Thai driver's license. Well, I don't have a Thai driver's license. I need to get on that. But the driver's license has your passport number on it, but I don't know. I don't believe it has the other information, which will mess up the original TM30. Anyhow, I went in, did my 90-day check-in, and surprise, she asked me, do you live in Bangkok or do you live in Pattaya? Because your last TM30 on file is from the Holiday Inn. So I mentioned that in the video, and I think it's since changed. I'm not positive. Guys were real quick to say, you don't know what you're talking about. A hotel does not mess up your TM30. Well, it certainly did for me. I think that has been solved as far as travel within Thailand, but I'm not positive. The new quote-unquote rule is when you arrive from abroad, you are supposed to, within 24 hours, do a new TM30 saying, hey, you know, I'm back in Thailand and this is where I live. The problem with that is I travel once a month, sometimes twice a month, even international, and I just did not want to put out my property manager for, you know, I didn't want to bother them with a new TM30 once a month or twice a month. So what I did was, right or wrong, and I actually took the advice of a person I trusted who's in the visa and opening bank account business. And what he told me was, you know what, just do a fresh TM30 every time you go to immigration. Now, I don't oftentimes go to immigration, like I mentioned, for a 90-day check-in. So I arrived, in my case, from Osaka, Japan, and this is one of the rare times where I did not do any international travel in the last 90 days. Things have just been busy. So I arrived 9 October from Osaka, Japan. So my 90-day clock starts in Bangkok on that day, 9 October. And the 90 days is 6 January. Okay, you are allowed to do the online check-in, and if I didn't mention, you have to register online, send in your password or email and password, and 2 or 3 days later you'll get a confirmation. Yes, you're in the system. I think you sign up, you tell them your address. Make screenshots of all of this, because if you tell them you live at condo XYZ, and then the next time you go to report, you say I live at XYZ condo, you might say, yeah, well, why is that a big deal? It's a big deal. Just do it exact, and it'll cut back on your issues. I try to play by these rules, and I still got, I won't say burned, but yeah, it didn't work for me this time. Anyways, you sign up, and what I was getting at was you can do the online 15 days early, but no earlier or later than 7 days. I guess they want a little time for processing. They claim 3 business days, but in the past 3-4 days, I've been rejected 4 times because I just kept trying, and I'll explain that in a minute. One time was my fault, but the other 3 were nice and clean, and I was still rejected. And what happened was I would do it at 10 at night, and at 10 in the morning, 12 hours later, the next day, it said, you've been rejected. No reason why, no explanation, just report to your nearest immigration office. And there's also talk online about, can I do my 90-day report at another office? In my case, Chiang Watana is probably the busiest. It is the busiest office in Thailand. That's the last place I really want to go if I can run over to Samut Prakan and a nice quiet office, quieter, and do a 90-day check-in. But from what I understand, it says, the wording online anyhow, you need to do your check-in basically where you live, in the city which you're registered. And I just don't want any issues. I'm a Bangkok guy. I don't want to try to get cute and take a little side trip up to Samut Prakan and, you know, hey, I'm here to do my 90-day check-in, but my lease says Bangkok. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but I'm just trying to avoid problems. So here's the issue. I landed in Bangkok from Osaka on 9 October. 15 days early before my January 6th would be December 23rd. I got busy with Christmas, so I didn't get around to doing it until, whatever it is, 13 or 12 days early on December 26th. Like an idiot, I was tired. For whatever reason, I decided to knock this out. I was sober, but it was like 1:30 in the morning, and I was just a little tired, maybe filled it out a little too quick, and like a dummy, I put my first name for a surname instead of my last name. Surname is clearly your last name. I entered everything else correct. In fact, how I messed this up, I don't even know, because I was staring at an approved TM47 that I received from 9 months ago. And here's where I messed up. When I put the surname in backwards, and nobody's going to do that. That was just a dumb error on my part, but yes, your surname is your last name. I decided to put my first name for whatever reason. But when I clicked submit and looked at the TM47 it generated, it fixed it and it put my name as you know, in the correct format. If I was looking at it and it had my last name first and my first name last, I would have understood I made a mistake. But for whatever reason, it computer generated it and it just rejected me the next day. Now, is it because of the surname? I don't know. It doesn't tell me. I would assume yes, that is enough to be computer rejected, because I'm doing all this while immigration is closed. Immigration closes one time a year from, let me get the dates here, Saturday, 28 December, 29 December, 30 December, 31, the 1st of January. So for 5 days, immigration is closed. And like a dummy, this is about the time I'm trying to do all this online. So I did it December 26th. I was rejected December 27th. Again, was it because of the TM30 that I did not do immediately returning from Osaka, or was it because of the surname issue? I don't know. All I know is I got a rejection. So I figured I'm going to try this every day and maybe it'll take. Sometimes there's little glitches online. I did it 3 more days in a row and I was all rejected. I have a feeling once you're rejected, you just lock up the system and, like it says, report to your nearest immigration officer, and I'm going to have to do that. The problem is, it's almost impossible to get an appointment maybe 14 days ahead of time. They release them 21 days ahead of time. So whatever that 15-day mark early is, 21 days before that, start searching for an appointment, and it'll, you know, you can get any appointment you want. If you wait 7 days before the 15 days, you're just not going to get an appointment unless somebody cancels, and that's exactly what happened. So somebody canceled on the exact date, January 6th, that my 90 days is due. I'm going to take the chance. I took that appointment. I'm going to take the chance that I go there. Maybe she'll just yell at me about the Osaka not doing a TM30. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm just going to not even say that, you know, I turned in those other TM30s and I was rejected, and hopefully I'll just slide by. Now, I'm going to be prepared with everything she's going to want, but I'm not going to offer any more information than I need to. So that's my problem, that I did all this when immigration is closed. Had I shut down immigration on Thursday, if that's January 2nd, when immigration opens, that will probably be the busiest day in Thailand immigration. Going on a Monday is a little crazy without an appointment. Going after immigration has been closed for 5 days, I don't even want to know. I'd have to be there an hour and a half before immigration opens, maybe 3 hours before they open, to have a half a shot at getting this done before lunchtime. And again, this is all my problem. You can complain all you want about, can you believe I waited in line at immigration for, 10 hours and they told me to come home the next day? Well, my first question is going to be, well, did you go on the day that immigration opened up after being closed for 5 days? That's nobody's problem but your own. I will say this, again, I'm not trying to push the rules or make my own rules. In the past, I did a couple of onlines, and I had not did a TM30 on arrival from another country. I know I arrived from Indonesia one time, Malaysia one time. I didn't do the TM30 within 24 hours, but 6 weeks later, I got a fresh TM30 and did it, the online check-in, and it was no problem. So maybe that is tightening up, and I'm gonna just have to have a conversation with my property manager and say, hey, I apologize, but I'm probably gonna have to hit you up for a TM30 once a month. They of course say, yeah, it's no problem. Just give us a little bit of notice, don't call and say you're standing at immigration and you need it immediately, because sometimes we get busy in the office. But every time I've asked them, this is a legit property manager company, I shoot them a line, and within a half hour, they'll send me the TM30 and say, hey, please review it, make sure everything's correct. And I do have to print that out. When you go, I think I already mentioned this, when you go in to the A desk, I believe it is, the TM30 person, or I'm sorry, the TM47 is the 90-day check-in. Forgive me if I flip those two. The TM30 is what you get from the owner or the property manager, which states you live in the condo. Again, you think you sign a 12-month lease, they give you one for 12 months, that's good enough. Well, apparently, the coming into the country, you need a new one. I don't know about the checking into a hotel when they do a TM30, if that is messing things up. I know it messed me up last year, but maybe that has been straightened out. I've heard rumors of that. But it appears that you better do one when you return from abroad. And once again, this is just my experience, my information, what's happening to me. I don't know anything about, hey, it takes 2 minutes at a drive-up window up in Isan, you know, to do a 90-day check-in. What's this guy complaining about? Well, there's no drive-up window at Chiang Watana in Bangkok. It's more like you arrive for whatever reason at 9:30 instead of 6:30 or 7 in the morning like everybody else. They hand you a ticket that says A127. You look up at the board and they're on A9. That's how it's going to roll in Bangkok here in 2024 and going into 2025. So what happens up in a small little part of Isan really has nothing to do with Bangkok. So there you go. That's that. This is 100% my fault. It reminds me of one of my favorite comics, Bill Burr. He always, I've heard him tell this story many times. I've seen him live a couple of times, and I always have to go back to this when I'm starting to feel a little sorry for myself or whatever you want to say. He'll tell the story about when he was young and stupid and drinking too much and shooting his mouth off in a bar and said too many inappropriate things to the wrong guy and got punched right in the face. There's two kind of guys in the world. The one that's going to be mad at the world and mad that guy punched him and just go off, continue to be a jerk, keep getting punched in the face. And then there's the normal guy, which I hope I am, who says, yeah, I was kind of being a jerk there. I probably deserve getting punched in the face. And the same thing applies to Bangkok rules and immigration. Yeah, I kind of messed up there. I probably should have did that TM30 right when I came back from Osaka. I maybe should have caught my breath and not messed up my surname. Whatever the case is, I'm not complaining one bit. Do I want to go to immigration? No, I do not. But it's nobody's fault but my own. So let's just do our best. I myself, remember, I'm a guest here in this country. Those are the rules. If it's a 90-day check-in, I do the 90-day check-in. If I don't want to do that, there's always Cambodia. So thanks for paying attention. I hope it all works out for everybody. It's not as daunting as you'll read online about this is crazy, that's crazy. It's actually pretty simple. I just, again, thought maybe I could just do a TM30 before I did anything with immigration. I will say, and maybe I'm repeating myself, yeah, I think I already said this, I did not do a TM30. Next time I have to do an online check-in, at the very least, and I probably won't forget, but if for some reason I do not do the TM30 within 24 hours of arriving from Bali or whatever the case is, I'm going to have to really be better at that. But if for some reason I don't, and shoot, I blew it, at the very least, do a fresh TM30 a day or two before you do your online check-in, the TM47. Myself, I was relying on a, whatever it is, a 6 or 7 week old TM30. I will say that worked for me. Now that I'm thinking about it, the last TM30 I got was for my last visa extension. So I came back from Osaka, whatever date that was, 9 October. On 2 October, I had to go get my visa extension, the yearly visa. So a day or two before that, I got a fresh TM30. So I didn't do it 24 hours before I arrived from Osaka. I did it about 3 weeks later. If that is jamming me up here, I'm not sure. Once she gives me the approval, there's sometimes a little bit of a language gap. I might ask her, hey, thank you for approving me, and I'm good for 90 days, but what happened here? You know, can you look in the system and see why I was rejected? And maybe she'll throw it out there. Well, my system says you didn't do a TM30 or you messed up your surname. Anyhow, best of luck with all this. It's really not that big a deal. And yeah, that's just how it goes. So take it easy. Once again, have a great holidays. And there will be plenty more videos coming in 2025. I hope to meet you when you come into town at one of the meetups. So take it easy. We'll see you.